Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. My name is Jake. I've been saying that same exact phrase for like 4 years straight now, but today we're talking about Modern Warfare. We talk about a new Call of Duty game every year, only this time it's the return of Modern Warfare with a fresh new shine on it. Although this isn't really a Modern Warfare 4, it's more of like a soft reboot from story to gameplay mechanics, and we've got a lot to break down here. But I think this is definitely going to be a divisive Call of Duty game, that's for sure. They've certainly earned points for trying this time around. Now, we've got both PC and Xbox One X footage here to show you, so come along, let's talk. Anyway, let's start off with my bread and butter, the campaign. In a bold move fueling that idea that multiplayer is the future and nothing else, Black Ops 4, as you guys probably remember, didn't have a single player story campaign. That was a big red mark for me, but I get some people just don't care. Thankfully, for single player folks like myself, there is a full story campaign here. I like Call of Duty campaigns just because it's basically like watching a big dumb action movie. They got a lot of fun action set pieces, they're easily digestible, they're over in a few hours, and hey, sometimes they have memorable characters or moments too. 2019 Modern Warfare is definitely striving to bring that back. The single player campaign here it's okay. I know Call of Duty campaigns are on the shorter side, they always are, but this one felt criminally short. Like, not even 6-ish hours on a decent difficulty setting with a lot of dying. It's not just because of the hours, it just like moves at a breakneck pace, which I guess is good and bad. Right from the start, it picks you up and doesn't let you go, although I'm gonna admit, like, because of that, for the first hour, I didn't really have a good grip of what was going on and what the stakes were. Just because it moves so fast and brushes a lot of explaining to the side. Thankfully, you do get some really downright incredible moments to play through, though. This one is more grounded, a tad bit more realistic, and you find yourself in lots of small areas and tense, challenging freaking moments. You know, where a lot of campaigns have been, I feel like, chasing that all gillied up mission dragon ever since, this game seems to go more for like multiple mile high club moments. Modern Warfare sets up a lot of fun missions that are basically the scene from Zero Dark 30 where they get Osama bin Laden. It's slow paced, you have to check corners, enemies pop up and surprise you in clever ways, and you can die fairly quickly if you don't pay attention. These types of missions are where the game is totally at its best. Like, I can't sing its praises enough. It shows that it's a slower affair. Your character moves slower, ADS is not instant by any means, and there's a lot of room for screw-ups. It's very satisfying, especially on higher difficulties. Enemies hide under beds, pop out of closets, they take civilians hostage. It's intense and realistic. Bullets shatter wooden doors, blood splatters against walls, and like sometimes the sound, you fire a bullet, it makes a very good sound. You see a little bit of smoke come from the barrel, and then the human actually drops and hits the ground with a pretty realistic and convincing thud. I love that stuff, but like the more action-packed open area levels are a bit less enjoyable. More traditional Call of Duty stuff as enemies suddenly just kind of become really dumb and mostly run towards you. Now, even still, I still appreciate just how many tools the game gives you to cause destruction throughout the campaign. There are a lot of holy shit moments in general, and the game goes for shock value and edginess a lot of the time. I don't mind it. It made for some tense moments that I won't spoil. Stuff you don't really see in a lot of action video games. I just didn't find it very meaningful from a story standpoint, but at least it elicited some emotion. Now, the new Price, the fan favorite character from the Modern Warfare games, is downright incredible here. He's one of the few main stars, but his performance capture, his updated look, and voice and charisma really steals the show. The game also takes a bit of time to develop the rebel freedom fighter character Farah as well, with some interesting scenarios. Otherwise, it, like I said, moves really quick, and there's not much explanation for anything or a bunch of character development. Still, it kept me interested and entertained throughout, even if it picks up real fast and ends almost suddenly. Throughout it, there's some good fan service too that I think classic fans are really gonna love and kind of freak out about. Now for me, what helps with that is an entirely new engine here. 4K, if your machine can handle it, HDR support, and just really great looking visuals all around. Characters' faces are lifelike and look pretty good, clothing moves realistically, and photogrammetry really helps with some of the objects and the environment in general. light and darkness is great. I love a game that like makes dark environments really actually dark and you have to rely on night vision goggles, kind of like the old Splinter Cell games. It resulted in some of like my favorite parts of the game, even in multiplayer, which I'll get to. Sound also is excellent with angry, aggressive gunshots and lots of directional and environmental stuff. In motion, like a lot of the stuff, the technical stuff doesn't mean much, but if you stop and look around, if you're that type of player, it clearly shows that Infinity Ward is at least putting all that freaking Call of Duty cash to work in their new tech. Except for the pre and post mission cutscenes. Those things chug in the frame rate department on both PC and Xbox One where we've been playing. I don't know if it's an optimization issue or the rest of the level loading in the background, but it ruins the immersion. Like otherwise, like what are great looking and entertaining cutscenes. It's kind of a bummer. But overall, really with it, long story short, campaign is okay. A little underwhelming in length and story, but satisfying with some cool characters, fan service, and some great combat action scenarios. Really, it's an okay return for the campaign. I hope the next one is even stronger though, because like the foundation here is pretty sick. Now over on the multiplayer side, please note that this is just first impressions really. It will take a lot of time for the game and the meta to develop, and ultimately the community will or will not take to it. And that's really what the most important thing is to note here. But to give you some information, some insight, and an opinion, let's go. We don't have time to cover everything, but I think that the fact that it's slower overall might piss some fans off. I've already seen some folks jammed up over how the sprinting works, stuff like that. Look, I get it. But me, personally, I like things a bit slower, slightly more tactical. It still very much looks and feels like Call of Duty, though. It doesn't lose its identity. There are kill streaks, people are chucking throwing knives, we're dying a million times, and there's lots of progression and leveling up. Mounting is a new fun option I really dig for cornering and stuff. I just wonder how many folks will actually use it like me, instead of just kind of running and gunning as usual. Like, I'm not sure yet if you really have to use mounting to win, you know? Since the time to ADS is so much slower, maybe it will slow players down a little bit? I don't know, but for me, it still felt pretty quick. Especially because you die very quickly. TTK is insanely unforgiving and you die almost instantly here, but like I don't mean that as a bad thing. It just changes things up. Really, this stuff, I'm curious to see how the player base adapts to it, because as of right now, everyone is jumping in and playing and figuring out how it works, and you know, I don't know yet. I think these changes make it feel pretty different enough in theory, but that's just me. It's about how it affects the player base. Personally, I think the movement and gunplay is awesome. Maps are interesting. They're a bit more of the older style in terms of layout design, but I've seen a lot of people saying they are just not fans of these maps. I don't really know quite yet. They play fine, but I guess for me, most of them are visually dull and lifeless. I just wanted a little creativity. I will say though that the objective-based ones are much better. I want some exciting dynamic maps, and the offering here doesn't quite scratch that itch. Now, where I think the package does kick ass is in the progression and the modes. There's a nice amount of both. Real quick, for leveling up and progression, guns are really the star of the show here. Hyper-realistically modeled with tons of attachments to get and put on them. There's a lot of customization and embracing of player preference here when it comes to leveling up and progressing, and I think that's a big positive. But really, it's the mode offerings that I love here. There's a lot of good stuff to play and shoot stuff here. There's the standards like deathmatch and domination, but then you have realism mode, which strips away the HUD, kill confirmations, and puts you in complete and utter darkness where night vision goggles are nearly required, and you can see other players' lasers where they're aiming, but only if they're in ADS. It's a freaking brilliant, tense, fun thing. It's not going to be for everyone, but I very much like it, and I know they didn't invent this concept here, but I love it all the same. Then there's also Ground War, if you want the complete opposite and have something bigger and more chaotic. Also, gotta give props for Spec Ops Mode being in this game. That is a lot more to play through, especially if you're just like cooperative fans. There is stuff here for you. But if I'm talking about Spec Ops Mode, I gotta point out that survival in Spec Ops Mode is exclusive to PS4, and I think that's total bullshit. I just want to call that out. Like, I don't like a mode being exclusive to a platform. I think that's a huge bummer and a bad idea. But anyway, there's also 2v2 gunfight, which I hope is a big hit because it's narrow maps designed for this particular mode with 2 on each side, a very short time limit, and every time everyone gets an equal loadout, although it's completely randomized each round. This makes for like zany, dumb Call of Duty fun, and I'm all about it. Really, the formula is there, everything is there, and it's pretty good on paper, I think. We just gotta hope Activision doesn't muck it up and dirty the waters with too many microtransactions later on. They've been saying good things, but we just gotta hold them to it. We just gotta wait and see overall if Modern Warfare holds up as a big multiplayer game. I have no idea, I can never predict this stuff, but I'm having fun. Really, that's a before you buy. I'm here to give you the information, some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion thrown in there, and now I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. You guys have been playing just as much as I have, so if you're in this game already, I definitely want to know what you think about the multiplayer, but if you've ran through the campaign, it's a breeze. I definitely want to know what you think. Do you like what it does? Do you like the edginess? Did you find the characters interesting? And do you like where they're going with building this new Modern Warfare world? Let's talk about anything Call of Duty Modern Warfare down in the comments. We'll be there as much as possible. But if you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We would really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
We share friends and enemies.
Roll, Alex. Name and dog. Time to take this shit to the fan.